Clearly, we then have to look at what the inhibiting factors might be within that within those markets. What is holding people back from moving to fully mobile solutions, to adopting a lot of managed, say, email applications and so forth. So we've identified a few inhibitors which I'm sure you can talk to from a RIM perspective, in terms of things like uncertainty over cost, the ease of use of the service.
And working with the carriers, certainly there is an awareness issue in many cases where the carriers have a lot of heavy lifting to do, because they have to make their customers aware of the fact that this is not future technology, this is technology that's available today. And so from an ease of use, I think there is an incredible amount of education that needs to happen, and we are certainly working very closely with our carriers and our partners across the globe, and certainly in Central Eastern Europe, to make sure that awareness is made available, and people are aware that they can go in today to the stores, pick up one of these devices, and immediately receive benefits from the value of time savings. Obviously, email is a killer application everybody's aware of, but I think that there's still a lot of education in the sense that customers today are still kind of getting used to the whole idea of being push information. And so, the pull versus push scenario is a very strong story that we have to share. It's no longer necessary to connect and download your email. You can have all of your information, your email, whether it's KPIs, key business indicators that you're watching in your business, whether it's the weather forecast or whatever you may be interested in. That information is now you're able to push that to the device. So that is, I think, a paradigm shift for many customers in understanding that this is available today. So the carriers have a lot of heavy lifting to do in educating customers, that is available today. So that's certainly part of it. From a cost perspective, very clearly there is incredible time savings that we discussed. So the cost benefit is another message we need to get across to customers. Really the proof is in the pudding, if you will. If you use the solution, it becomes very apparent very quickly how efficient you can be. And the people in this room who are using it, I'm probably preaching to the choir a little bit. I think that we have some work to do with the carriers to make sure that they are educating their customers. Making it a brand awareness is something that we are working on across the region, and making sure that people are aware.
Mobile solutions are generally more affordable than say, fixed line. Now, value for money, maybe you don't get quite as good a deal as you would with fixed, but in terms of affordability, which is frequently the critical issue, they're often a better bet. Mobile has become so well established in the minds of users, and the percentage of disposable income that's spent on mobility is still relatively small. And I think that will be one of the last areas of spending to disappear. And we're talking about incremental spending as well. We're not talking about a binary purchase: do I buy a car, do I not buy a car? That's the first thing that disappears when you're uncertain about your economic future.
I've spoken to several carriers and partners from the Central Eastern European region this week. The message I'm getting very loud and clear is that smartphone growth is high on their agenda. It is part of their 2009 initiatives to make sure they're growing their smartphone business. They see it as a very profitable part of their business. They see it as a very strong growth part of their business. And I think that as we enter into an economic turmoil in some markets, voice becomes a harder revenue to grow, and so they're looking for new opportunities. And so smartphones fit the strategy very, very well.
Across the region, 2008 to 2013, we're expecting average revenue per user from voice and SMS, so the traditional services, to decline by about 5%. And given
and that's in your emerging Eastern European
that's in Central and Eastern European markets. So now there's variation across the geographies, but that's the regional figure. Now we're seeing total ARPU pretty much flat, so that what's making up for it is growth in other data services, non-SMS data services, such as email, browsing, and
you're not seeing ARPU decline, just flat.
We are seeing ARPU flat overall, but voice and SMS, so the traditional services, the revenue from those are declining.
And
so
data is making up that difference.
Data is making up that difference.
And just to add to your comments, if you look at our solution, we're offering arguably the highest ARPU product in the market, lowest churn, the highest lifetime value, all of the KPIs that the carrier partners look at, we have a very strong story. And so there is a great interest and uptake in looking at how they can effectively put the product in the market and capture the wider audience, and not just business VIPs, consumers, and the handhelds now lend themselves to being able to.
And in your regions, the BlackBerry solution has a fixed data cost, and a regular fixed data cost. In our region, South Africa, there's a fixed cost to use BlackBerry, which covers all your data, all your email, everything.
Right. It depends on the carrier, obviously.
Oh, okay.
But
so different carriers have different
everybody
models.
has a different plan as far as how they target the market. So we are seeing, though, the plan and the billings that I'm seeing, the trends I'm seeing are certainly trying to attract a wider audience of users, so making the billing much more flexible and not so much a rigid model that we've seen in the past for enterprise users, if you will. So we're seeing, Jessica mentioned the pay-as-you-go and prepaid. These are the trends that we're seeing grow very rapidly across our markets, I would say globally.
Do you actually have, I don't know, any influence on how the carriers will decide to sell the data plans or whatever? But where I'm heading to probably is roaming. It's great you can use your BlackBerry at home, but I don't know how high is your bill, probably higher than my salary. Because of roaming.
I don't look at it, thankfully.
That's it, you don't have to care, but for people like us, well, I wouldn't be able to use it here in Barcelona, just because, well, I would pay, for a single email, I would pay a few euros, which is just crazy.
Again, that's a very carrier-specific question, so it depends on the carrier and the partner that we have and what roaming agreements they have and what they're offering. But I think that again, the trend I'm seeing in travel that I do and the partners I talk to, they're certainly offering attractive plans for people who are local. I mean, people who are using this technology, the early adopters, are people who move around the country, around the globe very rapidly. So. I guess the best answer would be it depends on the carrier and on the partner that we are working with. We certainly have a very strong influence. We share our best practices with our partners. We get to see, as I said earlier, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So we try to share the good as much as possible. Where we see effective billing plans and product ranges and offerings, we work very closely with the carriers to make sure that we're helping them. We're not interested in just putting the product in the warehouse and walking away. We're very hands-on and involved. And so, like this week is a great example. I'm having back-to-back meetings all week with carriers. We're talking about strategic plans. How do we grow the business? And that it's all levels. It's billing. It's what products to offer. What consumer applications to offer. What enterprise applications to offer. So we have a very strong influence in that. But it's certainly a carrier-specific issue.
And there's a regulatory element to it. Of course, if we're talking within the EU, then there will certainly be well, we've seen voice, the easy address the voice issue. We've seen them easily address the SMS. The next is obviously going to be data, and I think it's inevitable that Vivian Redding will look to address that as a barrier to international trade. And I don't try not to have an opinion on it, but I think it's inevitable that will be the next point of address. There is an argument from the operator side that they need to justify that there are costs associated with international roaming, but I think we can expect to see.
I think it's also it's a total cost of ownership. It's an ROI story as well. So I guess I would ask: is it essential that you have email when you're here? If it is, then you have to look at the cost benefits of that. And if it's something that you'd like to have and it's expensive, then maybe you choose not to use it when you travel. But for people who are in business and it's essential to have that information at your fingertips. Whether the alternative is to go to a hotel room and log in with your laptop and try to pull down your email. I personally don't know what that bill is, but I know that I make a lot of money for my company by being efficient and productive. So I think it's also a cost-benefit analysis you have to do on your own as an individual.